Choices again, and we are on another farm visit. So today I am with Philip Anderson, Anderson Organics, and I'm going to have Philip tell us a little bit about his journey and his family, and kind of how he got started with all this.
This is our 8th year of growing, and so we started in 2010 was our first growing season, and I really got inspired to do to grow food that you could actually eat, because a lot of agriculture in our country is food that's grown for commodities and stuff that really is inedible actually, or is fed to animals and grown for all kinds of different uses. And I have always been interested in food, but I think that the thing that really pulled me into doing vegetables and organic vegetables in particular was this idea of connecting people to the land. It really has, for us, always been more about the people than even about the food. It's about connecting people to food. There's a lot of things that people can live without, but food is not one of them. And so this idea of connecting people to the land again, connecting people to food, and really having a farm that exists for the people, that people can come to, that they can be connected to, and there can be relationships that are built. All of those ideals really kind of inspired me to get going with it. I had no idea how much work it was going to be. It was. I understood as much as you can, mentally, but until you've been out here, in the heat when it's hot, and in the cold when it's cold, and the rain, all the rest, it just after that first year of doing this, it gave me a whole new appreciation for people that are out here long term. So it's been a ton of work. It's been a long, slow road, but I wouldn't trade it for anything. So
That's really cool. And the one thing too that I am always impressed when I come out to speak with farmers is that we generally are talking to one person, but it really takes a lot of people to make this go. So can you talk a little bit about, I know your family's really involved too, so can you tell about how, all the different parts that come together with your family?
Yeah, there's no way we could have started the farm here. I basically was at a total zero as far as knowledge when we started. I couldn't even grow a herb on the back porch. So I knew less than most people, less than nothing. And my parents really were a key in starting things. They went in full time into the farm business with my wife and I, and they really supplied a lot of the capital to get things going. They had access to land. And then my dad, having grown up on a farm and having farming in the generations for 3 or 4 generations back, had a lot of farm equipment and just a lot of things that were available that I just don't even know how we would have begun without all that. So they've been just, an incredibly foundational part of getting everything going. But we also have about 30 people who come out and do work share program. So they work 3 hours a week for vegetables. We have several people that have come alongside and work full-time or more than full-time. Ben Stryker is another one that has just been with us since just about the beginning, and moved out here to the farm. He lived out on the property for a year or two, helping us get everything going, and he's still with us. And so it takes a whole bunch of people, and I always feel like no matter how many people we have, I feel like I could use more. I feel like I could put 100 people to work every day,
Right.
So it's incredible the amount of resource that it takes on every level to do this.
Right. So when you guys decided to do this, what was your wife's reaction? Was she all in? Was this like?
She was in with it. I mean, neither one of us, like I said, really knew what we were getting into, but she's been incredibly supportive, and she's one that is a real support and encouragement to me, and somebody that I bounce ideas off of. Mm-hmm. She's got a great mind for thinking through things. She's out in the field a little bit, but mostly she's supporting me and behind the scenes.
Right.
And so she's been really a key part of things as well.
Right.
So.
And it really does. And the other thing that I think is really awesome is that when you're raising your family out on a farm like this, the idea that you're passing it on to a new generation of people to have an appreciation that you take care of the earth because the earth is providing, and that by doing things the right way, you actually are investing in the environment, investing in the community, and inspiring really a whole new generation of people out to enjoy what you do.
Right, right. Actually, we kind of view ourselves in that way as stewards of the land. You know, man was first put in a garden to steward it and keep it and tend it, and so we really kind of hold that ethic really strong. And it is exciting to see my boys out here and able to. I mean, they know things about vegetables that, you know, they'll go to the doctor's office and she'll ask them something and she won't know the names of 3 or 4 of the vegetables that they've been eating, you know, so it's really funny to see some of that happen. But again, it's that the lifestyle, farming is a lifestyle. It's not something that you do 9 to 5 or 8 to 5, and so the whole family gets involved with that, and it kind of takes over, especially during growing season. It really takes over, but it requires the whole family. But there's also something that becomes very unifying in the process of that as we're doing it together. You know, like my oldest son is 9 now, and he's been starting to actually ride like the transplanter, help us with some of the things that even some of my adult people, you know, maybe aren't trained in or whatever. And
that's so cool.
So he'll be out there in the pouring rain putting plants in.
Oh, that's so great.
So
that
I have to bribe him sometimes, but you know.
Yeah, I can imagine that. And so the other thing that I did want you to touch a little bit on is a CSA. And if you could explain for our customers and for anybody who sees this video, what is a CSA, and how does that invest in what you do?
I mean, the CSA, without the CSA, we would not have a farm. We just really would not have a farm. CSA stands for Community Supported Agriculture. And basically the idea is that you're buying into the farm in the wintertime. You prepay for a membership in the farm, and you get first priority with, as we distribute all the vegetables for the year. And we have a number of places that we sell to and work with, and outlets. We do farmers markets and stores and wholesale accounts, restaurants. But our main priority, first priority, goes to these members that support us. And so in faith, they basically pre-buy their membership in the wintertime, and then we give them each week the ability to come out to the farm and get a diversification of what we're growing. They get a box every week, and the benefits of that are just, I mean, it's just too much to even, you know, really list them all. But basically the bottom line is we would not have a farm without that. The access to all of the resource that you need at the beginning of the year, purchasing seeds and equipment and all that stuff at the beginning of the year. Typically your sales are really low in the wintertime, and so without the CSA, we just really wouldn't still have a farm. So we're so grateful. There's some people that have been with us since the year we started, you know, 2010, and have been with us all 8 years, and we're just really grateful for all those members, you know.
Well, I can't emphasize that enough. If people are interested at all in them, you should see the boxes that people get with the vegetables in it. It's really a nice assortment and just the highest quality you could imagine. So we're going to take a little break, and then we're going to go over to one of the things that, since we've been working with Philip, is that he has expanded what he's been doing. So we wanted to show you a little bit about some other things he's working on. Okay, so we changed locations. So now we're inside, what do we call this again?
High tunnel.
A high tunnel.
Yep.
So we're inside the high tunnel, which is a really big investment, both of time and money. So I'm going to have Bill talk a little bit about it. But as you can see from behind us, it is indoor growing. And so why don't you just explain to people exactly what a high tunnel is and what you've got going on here.
Yeah, so high tunnel, the basic definition is, for a high tunnel, you're using solar passive heat instead of heat that's brought in from an outside source like in a greenhouse. So everything in here runs off of solar, and we have some automatic ventilation systems for rolling up the sides when it gets too warm in here in the summertime. So that's all temperature controlled. So it has some of those systems that a greenhouse would. We've also got some fans to keep the air moving, keep disease down. Things of that nature. But basically, we don't have any outside heat. That's the big difference. And the other big difference between a high tunnel and greenhouse is that in a high tunnel, you're usually doing growing that's in ground. You're growing tomatoes that are, you know, in soil just like they would be in the field. And you basically have just covered a big section of your field, whereas in a greenhouse, you're growing mostly plants, propagating them to be transplanted. You're growing starts or transplants. So our goal in getting the high tunnel was two things. Number one, we wanted to have greens available, fresh greens, all winter, or as far into the winter as we could. And so this structure will basically keep a lot of cold hardy greens like kale and spinach alive down to 0 degrees, maybe even a little colder. Depends on how long it stays cold and what the wind is and different things like that. But basically we can have fresh greens in here throughout the winter. So that was really a strong, motivation. We want to have roots in storage for the winter, but we also want to be able to keep fresh greens coming. Even herbs, some of the cold hardy herbs like cilantro and dill can be grown for a long time if they have cover. And then the second thing that we were really passionate about with the tunnel was being able to grow better quality heirloom tomatoes. Heirloom tomatoes taste awesome, you can't beat them, but they're really, the plants themselves are very susceptible to disease and all kinds of pressures out in the field from wind and rain. The rain gets on the leaves, they don't like that. And at this point in the year for us, we're on the tail end of these tomatoes, but we'll probably be able to keep them going for another month or so if the weather stays, reasonably warm. So we've just seen an amazing difference. The first year that we experimented with having tomatoes under a cover, we had a little, what they call caterpillar tunnel in the field, which we just made some PVC pipes and put a plastic sheet over it, and we cannot believe the difference in the tomato. It was like we had like 20 times the yield that we were getting off of these tomatoes. And so the same is true here in the tunnel. It's protected from all of the wind, it's protected. The biggest thing is the rain. These are all watered through drip irrigation.
I was just going to ask you about that because we did talk about that earlier.
Right.
And so obviously they need water, so it's a drip irrigation. How nice is that?
Water.
It keeps it off the leaves then.
Yep, it keeps it off the leaves so they don't have that problem with getting wet leaves. And we also save quite a bit of water because once it goes into the ground and we've got these plastic covers over the rows to keep the moisture and the heat in, the water stays in there for a long time. And we've actually been experimenting with some of what we call like dry tomato production, where we get the plants going in the spring with a lot of water to get them established, and then once they really get into prime fruit bearing time, we really limit and even sometimes turn the water off completely for a month at a time, and that concentrates the flavor of the tomatoes and makes them taste better. The more water the tomatoes have, the more watery they taste. True for watermelons and all the fruiting crops. So we've been experimenting with that, but you also have to keep the plant, going and strong. So it's a balance. But I just can't say enough about how much of a benefit the tunnel has been to us. It's really been a total game changer for us. And this is our second year of growing tomatoes in it. And I would say we still haven't even really tapped into this, even scratched the surface of what we can do with the tunnel. And when we get a full season of maximized growth out of it, like this year we didn't get the tomatoes in as early as we wanted to. Last year we had 40 below weather in December. It's crazy things like that. But on a normal year, this structure is just, it just pays for itself so many times over. So,
and I think the other thing that I found really exciting as we've worked with farmers over the years is just to see how much you're growing. And to see what the big plans are that you have for the work that you're doing here, and so we really appreciate all that you put into it. And I'm wondering, like, as I feel like he's very flexible and he's very patient, because every year will be a different thing that he has to deal with. But if you had to, like, is there any one thing that you feel like is the greatest challenge that you guys face as in farming, or is it just a combination?
Like as far as a particular crop?
Yeah.
I don't know. It's hard to say. We had a hard time with celery. Celery is really hard to grow. Anybody who's tried that locally knows that. That's why they grow celery in California. But some of these things we just keep trying at, because you never know when you're going to get the right weather conditions for it. But having the tunnel does help to mitigate some of that, Like every year we're taking some of the risk out of, like I was telling you earlier, I don't think we would really have any tomatoes right now. Maybe not even the whole year if they had just all been in the field. Right. Not these kinds, not heirloom. Yeah, they would have, bit the dust a long time ago.
Right.
So I would say every year it's amazing. We get better every year at what we're doing. We feel like we're more consistent. We can more reliably bank on what's going to turn out and how it's all going to work. But every year we always have surprises. We do 100 different varieties, and there's always one, and usually it's the opposite one that did great last year the next year. So we just keep going, we just keep trying, we keep planting, you know, and like baby greens, lettuce mix and arugula, the schedule and the plan is to do 20 plantings a year. So we just keep the batches rolling every week, and that way, you know, one doesn't turn out, but the next one hopefully will. So,
and then in terms of being organic, do these help you in that regard in terms of like trying to mitigate things without using a chemical?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Chemical applications.
Absolutely, yeah, because the big thing in the tunnel is you're protecting the plants from that disease infestation. So in organic production, the disease controls that we have for spraying on the plants are very, very limited. We use natural-based stuff. You can, like a copper-based spray is approved for organic production because it's a mineral. But you know, compared to conventional farming, where basically they're spraying whatever they can, whenever they can, to control that for disease and for insects, you have a lot of a benefit from the tunnel. You know, so you're just taking care of a lot of that from the climate instead of having to spray. So
well, it's really exciting to see.
Yeah.
It's very exciting to see all the progress that's being made, and there's even more bigger plans in the future. But as I was telling Phil, it's what is so impressive is that they're making an investment in food for the community, and the CSA is one way, and buying some of his things at Choices is a way that you can invest back into Philip so that we can continue to grow his business and grow the availability of organic fruits and vegetables in our, it's everybody, you can't do everything, but everybody can do something, and it's like our small thing that we can do in this part of the world. So we really appreciate everybody's investment in the community when you're buying local from local farmers. Thanks a lot. Thanks for spending the time today. Appreciate it.
Thank you. Thank you very much.